Evening all. Evening, Mr. Broadhurst. How are we, Squire?
Very well, thank you, Mamemeister. Great
Good
to be here again.
Yes, this is the first. Hopefully everyone can hear us. This is the first. Yeah, it's a Sunday night live stream. As you've seen the title, it's the Richard Broadhurst Arcade Special. So you're very honoured to get this. But I have to say, I was looking at some of your ports that you've written. And I'm convinced you must be using the arcade ROMs and MAME and that kind of stuff, because it's just ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah, I kind of separate them into the games that I've done and the ports do use the original arcade ROMs. Not necessarily.
Is that right? So you're kind of are you almost emulating the ROMs then? Is that how you've done it?
Emulating the hardware, yeah. So kind of a bit like MAME, but only one game at a time. And only games that run on the same processor as the BBC Micro.
That's absolutely insane. So you're effectively you're emulating an arcade game in an 8-bit machine.
Yes, essentially bits of it anyway.
That is just absolutely incredible. Just Holly saying there, nice owl, Richard. I love that. Yeah, that's Acorn Soft. Fantastic. Listen, thank you very much to everyone that's joined us tonight. We've got 21 people. Well, it was 21 about a second ago, but obviously there's a few people that don't like Acorn Soft. It's just dropped to 17. But listen, thanks very much everyone that's tuned in tonight. What I'm going to do, I mean, I've got, you've very kindly sent me over all your games, Richard. I think there's about, let's see, you've got arcade ports that are 11 and there are ports that are 7. So you've got about 18 games in total here. What I want to do, just for comparison's sake, is play the arcade just for a couple of minutes and then load up your one, just to kind of see how it plays, if that's all right with yourself.
Yeah, it'd be great to have a reminder of what it should look like.
And what would be nice if you can, as I'm feeling miserably actually trying to play these, it'd be nice just for you to kind of just talk us through what kind of got you into doing this. I mean, anybody that's been watching my channel for a while, you and I did have a chat. Oh, blimey, it must be about over a year ago now, I think.
Yeah, I should think so. Yeah.
It would be just Google, go into my channel and type in Richard, and you'll find a blimey it's only. And obviously, you went into quite a bit of detail as to how you came about. So, what is your background, Richard?
Well, I started. Where did I? I moved down to Devon when I was 11, 12. Got a Vic 20 and then a BBC. My father ran a holiday camp, which had a little arcade.
You ran a holiday camp?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was a seaside town, which had an arcade and a pier. It's Teignmouth in Devon. So it kind of started with me loving the arcades and spending every minute I could there, including lunchtime from school. And just learned to program. There wasn't really much else to do. I didn't really buy games. Didn't know anybody who had games to copy. So if I wanted to
you just wrote your own, yeah, as you do. So when did you start programming? Have you been programming for quite a long time then? Pretty much since you kind of got a home computer then?
Yeah, over 40 years now. Started in BBC Basic. Well, before that, a bit of Z80 assembler on the Sharp MZ80K, and then some Vic 20 Basic and 6502, and then BBC in 82. So yeah, since about 1980.
I think the BBC was that was my first platform where I learned to program. But, I never got beyond the think a number higher or lower. That was my O grade computer studies. So, in your opinion, is the BBC, is that probably the best, like 8-bit BASIC? Would you say?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, nearly all of the others had Microsoft Basic. Yeah, it's well thought out. It's quite almost highly optimized in places, but it kind of has a bit of an unfair advantage over the others, because most of those, the Basic kind of has to incorporate part of the operating system that's running the machine, and they both have to live together in 8K. Whereas on the BBC Micro, you've got 8K for the operating system and 8K for the Basic. So it's got more room to have more code to do things.
I see, yeah.
More functionality. But yes, I would say it did have one of the best basics around.
I always think that the BBC had it, because it's just a black screen. It's got the cleanest sort of look. It just looks cool. It looks most like, if you ever watch any film on telly, when they're on a computer, it's always like and it's always like vector graphic style fonts. It's always against a black background, and I think the BBC kind of becomes the closest thing you can get to that. Whereas like the C64 is blue, obviously, and the Spectrum I think is white. But the white on black is very, very it's distinctive. It's a nice looking screen.
Yeah, I think it's also quite familiar to a lot of people who didn't even know computers back then, because by default it comes on in teletext mode, so it's the same font as teletext was on the. Of course,
yeah. And listen, what I'm going to do, we're here about the games. We can be talking while I'm playing these. So, right, I think what should we start off with? Let's go. So, see that you've given me two folders, Richard. I've got arcade. Which is that the sort of emulated ones, is it? You've given me arcade, you've got Astro Blaster.
Yeah, games, those are written from scratch. Although some of them do have kind of converted graphics out of main or converted sound.
Right. So the ones in the arcade folder are basically based on the arcade machines, yeah.
The arcade games, yeah. But
right,
from scratch, the ports folder would be the ones that use the arcade ROM.
Ah, I see. Right. Okay. All right. So I can basically just run them side by side. Oh, hang on. I'll just come straight out. Right. So looking at the alphabet, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually put them all straight across. I'm going to copy these. Excuse me. Cut and Paste. Right, there we go. Right, I'm going to kick things off now. This one's a cracker because I was playing it last night. This is Asteroids. Now, if anyone's not familiar with Asteroids, in fact, you know what? We all know what Asteroids looks like. I don't think anybody doesn't know what Asteroids looks like. Leave the room now. you don't deserve to be in here. So, right, I hope I can get this right. So you very kindly, hang on, I need to now narrow this down a wee bit. And what I want to do is I want to take that out, remove that, and I want to share the screen. Like so, right. Sorry, Richard, what were you going to say?
I was like, some of them are a bit quick on showing the keys to play the game.
I had noticed that, but I'm sure it's a pity I've not got the programmer in with me. Oh, hang on. I'm sure you'll keep me right. Right. Okay. So I think this was the BBM that you sent me. So let's get run disk, and there we go. Asteroids.
They should all work with a joystick as well.
I don't know if this is really loud. Hang on a second. See if I can get this. How is the volume, by the way? Well, I should actually start it. So first off, is this using the arcade? Is this using the arcade ROMs, Richard?
This is playing the arcade ROMs. Obviously, the graphics I've had to redo as bitmaps because it's not a vector machine, not like that nice machine.
I'll tell you, it's been a damned impressive attempt at it. Right, so let me see now. It's bound to be ZX. Any ideas what the keys for this one are?
Return for fire, shift for thrust, and space for hyperspace.
And is it ZX?
ZX, yeah.
Right. I'm assuming is it 3 to put a coin in or something? 5?
Just press return to start this one.
All right, let me just get the keys. All right, ZX, shift, and there we go. Fantastic. Hang on, I'm just going to have to turn. Can you turn the volume down in this thing?
I think it does have.
Hang on a little second, because I can hardly hear you. This is really, really loud. Is that? I don't suppose you can't. Yeah, I can turn down. I should be able to turn down the volume in the emulator itself, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you can do it in Windows, or you can have a look at the sound menu.
Right, hang on a second. Right, there we go. Right, how did I do this? Right. I spent ages last week. The bizarre thing is, I mean, if I click down there, bottom left, you've got the little headset thing, but when you try and look at that, it won't actually open up. I don't know why.
Can you right click and do
no. No.
Okay. Try the sound menu in BBEM just in case it's got loud, medium, and quiet.
What was that, Richard? Sorry, just in the main menu.
Yeah, just try this. Oh, BBEM, sorry.
Ah, right. Sorry, hang on.
Full volume, high volume, medium.
Ah, right. Medium volume. Or should we maybe go for low volume? How is the balance, guys? Can you hear that okay? In fact, Richard, can you hear that all? Can you hear that okay?
I can hear that okay, yeah. It's
right, I think.
Side, but it's might be the same for the others.
Yeah. Let me know what you think with the volume anyway. So, right, let me get back into this again. So, enter is going to be. So, see if you were to actually run the Asteroids arcade ROM, would the demo mode etc. be exactly the same? Because effectively this is actually playing the arcade ROM, and yeah.
Yes. For this one, I bypassed the insert coin, and so when you press return, it straight away inserts the coin and pushes one player. And then some of the messages I changed because it was easy to do that. Usually I would leave them exactly as they are.
Right, got you. Richard, is it possible? Are you able to turn your volume up at all on your microphone?
You will try.
If at all possible. Because I'm just... It sounds like...
Is that better?
I think so. I'm going to give this another quick go. I think so. We'll just play again. We can talk again. So when did this? What was the first? What was the first sort of? Well, you've been writing games obviously for the last 40 years. When did you start doing these sort of arcade ports?
For the BBC Micro, only probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did work in the games industry for about 15 years.
What company did you work for?
A company called Creative Assembly.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
So Total War and some console games.
Ah, nice.
Then they got bought by Sega. Sega. I used to hear that so much around the office.
So what was it? What was the first, like, of these games that you've sent me? What was the first one you done, and what kind of made you want to? What made you want to actually try it? Was there a?
Well, I mean, I've always programmed the BBC on and off, but the one that I did first that I really wanted to show could be done on the BBC was a game called Carnival.
Oh yes,
Basically, because Acorn Soft did Carousel, which was their version of Carnival, and it disappointed me so much back in the day that I wanted to show that there could have been a good one. And I just had an idea how to do it. I mean, it was in that holiday camp I was talking about. There was a nightclub, and in the entrance to the nightclub was a carnival machine, and Mad Planets, Super Breakout, and Atari basketball with trackballs.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That was one of the first games. I mean, the early games, it wasn't based on life, so it was always just based on. I'll tell you one thing, Richard. So I'm interrupting myself here. I could actually think I was playing MAME. I mean, this is just incredible. I mean, I suppose if you're to be really, really Mr. Picky, that there's obviously is there slightly fewer frames of animation for like the spaceship because it's not a vector graphics at all.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's pretty hard to draw it in whatever that is, 8x8 pixels. I mean, all the things are to the same scale as the arcade, so the screen's the same size as the screen, and the asteroids are the same. But yeah, I mean, like that one in the bottom right, it's just a crosshatch. That's kind of the closest you can get to in 4x4 pixel or whatever it is. So yes, probably there are slightly less positions visible with the ship, but because it's the arcade ROM playing in the background, you are actually turning through all the angles. You can fire in all the same directions as you can in the arcade.
Got you, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many frames of animation there is, but even though it's not as silky smooth as the arcade one, it's just that it plays perfectly. So yeah, that's absolutely awesome. So that is. I shouldn't be spoiling it, should I? Well, when you share a screen, it is difficult not to have any spoilers. Yeah. Right, next one, Canyon Bobberport. I'm not familiar with this one. Is this based on an arcade game again? Is it?
It is. It's a very early arcade game. I wasn't going to do it. This one's a 2-player game. It says at the bottom there, player 1 for tab and player 2's got return. It's a 1-button game.
So can I play this myself then? No, do you need to?
You can play on your own, 1 player.
I go in. Will this work with joystick possibly, you reckon?
Yeah, just the fire button there. There's nothing else.
Tell you what, I just need to come out of this for a second because my joystick's going to sleep. And again.
Yeah, I wasn't actually going to do this game, but I was doing some other games, and somebody said, "Oh, can you do this one?" And I thought, "Oh, they really want me to do that. I'll do it." And after I did it, they went, "Oh no, I didn't. I haven't even played it. I didn't. I just thought it was one you could do. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bothered because it's not the most thrilling game." But yeah, this one I tweaked it a little bit as well. So at the top, it's blue score and pink score, whereas actually it's a black and white game. So it's
of course. And was this Atari brought this one out? Was it?
I think so. Yeah, pretty much all of the ones I've done are either Sega or Atari, and I think I don't know. Probably Sega. Yeah, I'd have to look it up myself, to be honest.
So am I the pink one here? I'm trying to actually figure out. So you don't actually control left or right in this at all, do you?
No, you just push fire when you want your bomb to drop, and the idea is you score points for blowing up the things at the bottom.
Right. Where it's got a 2 in it, you get 2 points, and vice versa. Got you.
If you go across the screen without dropping a bomb, you lose a life.
Okay. Kind of a bit like the was it City Bomber? That was one of the kind of earliest arcade games. I think it was one of these ones that you got in all these, type in. It was always City Bomber.
Yeah. I would imagine they copied it from this. But also, if you drop a bomb and you don't hit something, you lose a life. So yeah, the very first kind of thing after the games, like you were saying earlier, that they were time limited games because they hadn't really worked out about lives and things.
So, what was the first? Do you think I've spoken about this before? What was the first video game that actually brought lives? I mean, Space Invaders had it. Was there any earlier ones that you can think of?
I don't know. I'm wondering if there's a version of Pong that would have had lives, well, more than just one life. I guess that kind of is if you're playing. If it's kind of first to 11 or whatever, then you kind of got 11 lives.
I suppose when you think about it, the timing thing was possibly the best thing to do, because when you got people that came along that could play games for hours and hours, a bit like myself, I mean, they obviously lost money, whereas I think you got like 45 seconds, whatever it was, but.
So the thing about this one, I don't think it's in this version of BBEM, is if you've got a Video Nuller card, which is a palette extender, then you can play it in black and white and grey.
Right, okay, for that authenticity.
If you've got the card that lets you have 4,096 colours, you can play it in black and white.
Yeah, I think if we'd never gone beyond a game like this, I can't see us sitting here 40 years later, because, some of these early games, they were, as you say, pressing one fire button. There was not an awful lot to actually do in them, but, without games like this, you wouldn't have the games we're playing now.
I mean, it's got physics in it on the bombs.
That has actually. Yeah, that's very, very true. Give it one last go. So I'm trying to actually figure out. I think I'm the blue one. It's hard to tell because the two players did it at the same time. Like
firing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm the blue one. Yeah. So what are the zeros? Are they basically no points? Is that what these are?
I think they're ones.
Right. Sorry, I can see that. Yeah, now I can. You've said it's a 1. I can see it's a 1. I thought it was a 0, but yeah, it's bizarre when you see them along the top. They look like zeros, but when you see them next to the 2s and 3s, it looks like 1s, which is bizarre.
Yeah, I couldn't see them until you said, and then now I can only see zeros. But yeah, I think it's probably better as a 2-player game, and maybe loser buys the next round.
So what's the idea of little biplane? Is that game over? Is that?
No, that's just you're going faster.
Right. I got you, right, okay.
So, when you get good at it, then you've only got a couple of those. Well, at one point you'll end up probably with only one circle left to hit. And does it once you basically destroy all the little circles, does it then move on to the next screen, presumably? Yeah, it took me quite a long time to find out.
It's kind of like one of these early, not Candy Crushes, is it Bubble Bobble, whatever it is, where you destroy things. It's like a very, very early version of that.
Kind of Breakout, I guess. Sort of.
Anyway, nice. What is that one called?
Canyon Bomber.
Canyon Bomber. Right, let's move on. By the way, guys, how many have we got in? 36. Wow. If there's any questions for Richard, please just put them down below. Rich, I'll let you kind of keep your eye on the comments, because I tend not to kind of look too often.
I haven't even got them open.
If there's any questions, just pop them down below. Right, next one is Circus. I do remember this one. I remember seeing this again. This was one of the really, really early days.
So this one you'll need to turn on the analog mouse pad or analog mouse stick on the menu.
Analog, is that under hardware, is it? Or
there it is.
There we go. Just click that.
Yeah, and then you should be able to use the mouse to move.
Right. Lovely. Right, excuse me while I'll just have a quick drink of my cold coffee. Right. And to start, is it one? How do we do start, Richard?
5 to add a coin, and then 1 for 1 player. You can probably use the fire buttons as well, but I can't remember.
There we go.
So yeah, this is another black and white game, where in the arcade you'd have the coloured cellophane stuck over the screen, so you get different coloured balloons.
So you've actually enhanced it for the BBC then, yeah.
Well, when the little guy goes through, you'll see he changes colour as well. So that's both to keep it authentic, and also it means I can draw the screen in 2 colours and just change what white is at timed intervals down the screen. So it's actually it's cheaper to do it that way. More authentic. So
when you look at some of these early games, they're not much. They're not much more than sort of like Game and Watch. It's kind of left and right, pretty much, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
Oops. 5 for a coin. I'm going to start.
Yeah, I would like to do a game of my own. I did one back in the 80s with a friend called Geltron. We never finished it. But I don't really have any creative skills. Well, code-wise, I guess I have some, but gameplay-wise, graphics, sound, not really.
Ever fancy having a crack at China Minor for the BBC?
Well, I was very curious until I saw you playing it last time. And then I was less
There again, you're going to want to get a game that people are actually going to want to play, so yeah. I've got to say the animation for the little guy walking along at the start's a bit inappropriate. I'm guessing that was it's obviously his arm, I'm assuming. Hopefully, anyway, yeah.
I'm not sure it's anatomically correct either way.
So did the fire buttons do anything, Richard? Did they make you jump higher or anything at all? No. I
don't think so. No, I think it's just a start button and then a single paddle game. So
it's almost like it's kind of similar to Carnival. It's like Carnival meets Breakout.
Yeah,
sort of.
It's probably the kind of in between the two, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously it's slightly more random. I think you've got to get the wee guy's got to land exactly on the sort of the side of the trampoline. Yeah. And was this?
So there's places at the side you can't even get him. So
right.
So, yeah. Somebody's asking about an idea. I actually use Visual Studio to do my editing, and then set it up to run a little .batch file to do the build. So usually that will convert the sound, convert the graphics, compress the game, build it into an exe if you like, and then make a disk image of that. Because 8-bit is so small and machines are so fast, all that takes about 1 second to if it's a really big complicated game and the compression's hard. Compare that to kind of the last Total War I was working on, and that was over an hour and a quarter to build. So
really? Wow.
It's a bit different. It was better with Incredibuild, but
so are you still programming games for a living then, Richard, are you?
No, about 9 years ago I went to work for a company called Imagination Technologies, who some of the older viewers may remember as Power VR. The graphics company did the GPUs for Matrox in the M3D in the first place, and then the Millennium and the Mystique. I ran their DirectX team, Windows driver team, for a year, and then moved into research. So now I design GPUs, or help design GPUs.
And is that more fun than programming games? I bet it's not.
No, it's different. It's there's a lot more, there's a lot bigger audience to appreciate it than my BBC stuff.
So when was the last time you actually programmed a game for the BBC? Has it been fairly recently, or have you kind of?
Pac-Man was a few months ago. I think I finished that. and then I'm actually working on a version of Rally X at the moment.
All right, nice.
New Rally X.
How do you pick a game to convert? I mean, apart from when somebody says, "Can you do this game for me, please?" Is it based on? Is there certain games that you think, well, that simply wouldn't work? I mean, I'm assuming we're not going to get outrun anytime soon. Would that be possible?
In theory, it's possible. Probably be a master-only game, and I only do games that will run on the BBC. So, yeah. Generally, I pick games that either there isn't a good version on the BBC or there isn't a version on the BBC, and that I liked back in the day. So, I'd love to do Mad Planets.
Oh, yeah.
That may be doable. Controls would be a bit tricky. That's not really one to play on the keyboard, is it? With the joystick that turns and a paddle and so that's tricky. But yeah, ones I think that can be done, that will run 50 frames a second, flicker free. Hopefully that people will actually want to play, because it's quite a small audience in the first place, and if I'm making something that even that audience isn't interested in, then I'm mostly doing it for myself anyway.
You're doing it for yourself, but at the end of the day, I think it's nice when other people appreciate it. And I know I've had a few comments when I mentioned that you were coming on. They're like, you're a legend in BBC circles. You know what I mean? I can completely understand why.
I mean, there's plenty of people doing very impressive stuff on the BBC. The Bit Shifters guys with their demos, and Prince of Persia and Stunt Car Racer are just amazing.
Stunt Car Racer for the BBC, I've not seen that one.
You should see it.
Yeah.
It's master only. Pretty sure it works fine on the emulators.
It's quite amazing when you see now some of the games that are coming out for 8-bit machines. It's quite staggering, actually. I'm just looking at, there's a few comments here. Excuse me, let's see. Holly saying, Richard, how about doing a new BBC game of your design?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, that I don't really have any design skills in that area.
Right.
I have kind of started on a prototype for a pinball game. So I'm doing it on the PC, which I wouldn't normally do, but it's doing it all with 8-bit maths. 8-bit coordinate system and the graphics that will be 8-bit. So just proving that it would work nicely, and that would be unless somebody does some graphics for me, it's not going to look as nice as Pinball Dreams. But that's the kind of the idea, that it would be kind of 2 screens high, and
would it be scrolling? How did the BBC scroll? Was that particular adept at scrolling or not?
It's very good at doing vertical scrolling, which was only kind of really exploited back in the day by Nick Pelling, whose programming name was Orlando.
Yep.
Who I think is actually going to be giving a talk at one of the A-Bug events soon. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good. I forgot what I was talking about. Yes, so so there's that, and I think every programmer from this era wants to do an R-Type clone at some point, or at least a good proportion of us. So that was what Geltron kind of morphed into, so I've done some tech demos along that line to prove that it could easily be done on the Beep. It's just a case of getting down to it and doing it, and kind of
finding the time to do that kind of stuff. I'm just the older gamer Steve has. If you're looking for any requests, Steve's saying here, well, thank you for. I'll just pop the comment up. There we go. Thank you for giving life back into old a BBC Berserk game would be epic. Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Berserk, and there's a conversion in the C64 which isn't particularly great. How would the BBC? Are you familiar with Berserk, Richard?
I'm trying to think. That's the one where you've got the family, isn't it?
That's Robotron. Berserk is it's basically.
Is that the one where the bouncy head comes on and gets you if you take too long?
That's the one. Evil Auto.
Yeah.
Evil Auto. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is one of those on the BBC. In fact, there's two.
Is there? Is it really?
I wouldn't say they're brilliant, but they're good enough to not make it high on the list of games to do. I would quite like to do it. I think I'd actually rather do Robotron.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a Marmite thing to people, whether they prefer one or the other, because they both seem like good games.
The sort of the problem you've got with Robotron is it requires two joysticks to play it properly. You need to be able. I mean, I think the BBC the home conversions all used. Well, saying that, I think there was a version that came out in the C64 that allowed two joysticks, but most of them you moved and fired in the same direction, and that's not Robotron. That's not Robotron at all. You really need a twin. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop that one up. Holly's saying that if you fancy doing a collab sometime. Now, Holly is the Mamemeister channel resident coder. She's. I've been asking this lot for months and months, because I'm completely clueless. I've been asking this lot for months about you need to try and Mamemeister the China Miner, and people are like, oh, we can't do it. And then Holly popped up a couple of months ago, and she's already got a little sprite of me running about, which is just fantastic. So there you go. I think, Holly, you can do graphics, so your graphic skills and Richard's coding skills, I think there's some potential there. Anyway, I'll keep talking and we'll crack on, because we've got plenty of games to go.
There was somebody asking about Rally X and being Z80 based. It's the ports need to be 6502, but the others, since I write them from scratch, can be on any hardware.
Right, was that Colin? I think it was. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Colin's just boasting about how good he is at that. Now, Robert's saying here, what has been your most challenging BBC game development conversion?
It was actually one of the earlier ones, Astro Blaster, I think, because, I was saying that Nick Pelling was Orlando was the only guy who kind of worked out vertical scrolling back in the day. Well, that needs to do vertical scrolling. And it still wasn't really understood on the BBC well. So that was quite tricky, supporting the sound chip, so that you actually got a speech chip rather. So you actually get the arcade speech in the game. That was quite hard work as well. And on that one, to make the alien, well, we'll talk a bit more about it when it comes up. So I think that was pretty tricky. Moon Patrol that we spoke about last time we spoke, where I'd nearly finished it. Well, it's still nearly finished. It's I think I'll put it in there as an unfinished link, as an unfinished one, so you can have a look at it.
See if you kind of code a game and then you sort of like don't look at it for a couple of months. Have you got to kind of reacquaint yourself with it, or how difficult do you find kind of picking up and resuming coding a game?
Almost impossible.
Oh really?
If I stopped, it's because I pretty much run out of steam on that game, and then trying to get the enthusiasm back is so much harder than having it in the first place and getting through it. Because what I really love about writing these games is doing the hard bits, doing the tricky bits. Hence my name on forums, Tricky. And once I've done those bits, the rest of it is a slog. That was what got me into doing these arcade ports of the ROMs, because it's all tricky bits, simulating the hardware and making the ROM work inside a BBC, if you like. But then once you've done all the hard bits, there are no easy, boring bits, because the game's already written, the game's running, it's got a track mode, it's got next player, next life, next game over, time out, no fuel, whatever, it's all there. Those are all the bits that I so struggle with.
Have you attempted an arcade conversion and then given up and thought, nah, this is impossible, or it's going to take too much time?
No, I haven't. Not yet, anyway. Oh, well, you might be able to include pole position. I proved that the track could be done, but then I ran out of steam. I would like to go back to that one day. And that kind of proved the track could be done, but that was using nearly the entire 50th of a second to draw it. so there's no time left for any signposts or other cars or your car.
Right. I think was there not a version on the BBC for pole position originally?
I think there might have been, but I didn't realise at the time. And it was my sister's favourite game back in the day, so that kind of gives it a boost. But yeah, there was.
Right, this one I'm not familiar. I've heard of this one. What's this called again? This is
Ripcord. So this is a parachuting game.
Okay, by Exody.
Yeah, so the reason I did this one and Circus was because I was looking for some ROMs to do, and Exody had actually made them public. So if you go on the main site, you can actually download these. These are some of the very few games that they actually have on the website for download.
I see. Yeah, they've kind of given up. Yeah.
So that was why I did it. And actually Ripcord, so I did this one first, and then Ripcord is almost the same code. Ripcord took 3 hours from downloading the ROM to having it running, finished on
Really? Wow.
So
you pretty much done that in one night then, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have to do the graphics, or do the graphics just automatically fill in if you're emulating? How does that work?
Usually it's either a character map display, so you've got like 1,000 characters, 1,024, whatever on screen, or 900 and something. So I have to keep it on screen and let the game update its copy, thinking it's drawing characters on screen, and then every frame I'll go through its 1,000 and my 1,000, and whichever ones are different, I'll update those parts of the screen for. And then usually they have a hardware sprite as well. So with Circus, the little clown that flies through the air is a hardware sprite, and the other one is just a bunch of characters drawn next to each other with like sloping, diagonal line and a man on it. And there's basically 8 copies of him with 8 different positions within the byte, within the character square. So when you move that left and right 1 pixel, it just draws the next 8 characters along with the previous 8 characters.
See a game like this, one of your arcade ports like that, Asteroids for example, would that, obviously you've got it running on an original BBC, could that have potentially been possible back in 1983? Or, I mean, forgetting the whole that you're using Atari's ROMs from Asteroids, I mean, I suppose ROMs weren't really available. I mean, the whole MAME project has kind of made people realise that you can download arcade games, but I suppose getting a hold of an Asteroids ROM in 1983 would have been pretty difficult.
Yeah, I after the work on the holiday camps, I went and worked for another company called Associated Leisure in Devon, who used to go, and I used to install jukeboxes and do the odd minor repairs and installs on videos and stuff. And one of the things you got overtime pay for was destroying the games that were no longer financially viable. Because that way the company could write them off. So I went to one of those for the overtime, and then as soon as I saw the sledgehammer go through the Defender machine, that was it. I left them to it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So after they'd finished, I went through all the boards and scavenged all the EEPROMs that I could find and any chips that were loose, and a Defender control panel, which I've still got in the garage now. And yeah, I never went to one of those again. That was, even back then, in the late 80s, that was just, that wasn't
They actually destroyed arcade cabinets with hammers.
Yeah, literally, sledgehammer. And jukeboxes. The first arcade that I was saying about on the holiday camp, I worked there for a while as well. There was a jukebox there that I liked. It was in Warlords, but not the fancy one. And the other guy who worked in the arcade didn't like. So one day he claimed it had been on fire and emptied the fire extinguisher into it. So they were throwing it out. So I said, well, can I take it? And I went, yeah, saves us smashing it up. So that's also in my garage.
Well, it's nice to see that you've gone from destroying arcade games to now bringing them back to life again.
I've not been keeping an eye on the chat. Have a look.
Right, let me get my joystick's going to sleep again. I'll just need to come out for a second and reload this. You have a look for any comments, and I'm just going to get this one going again.
Just the oldie game of Steve. I've never seen a Ripcord machine. I remember the lunar lander games with the massive great metal thrust control on them, and that was the early games. Really did have some very interesting control mechanisms on them. All that kind of went away, I think, when Jammer arrived, and you just got your joystick and your end buttons.
Push jump button, pull D ring to open parachute, jump until target is missed. So is that just basically one fire button again, Richard, is it?
It's two buttons, one to jump out of the plane, and then a second one to open the parachute, and then your left and right to try and
control them
on the landing pads.
Right. I'll see if this... Whoops, right, that's putting...
It'll be joystick only, this one.
So you reckon this will work with the two buttons?
As long as the control, yeah, that would be the other button then.
Right, so I'll just get, hang on a wee second. So that's one fire button.
And the other one?
Oops, hang on.
Heavy landing that.
Right, so that's that one. So is that the other fire button when you press to open the parachute? Right, okay.
For the little places where you've got 50-50, 20-10 and 20. So landing pads.
Kind of similar to, what was that game? It was like Asteroids.
Lunar Lander.
Lunar Lander, that's the one. Right, okay, I've got it now.
Yeah, so you've got the 10.1 is a wider landing pad, and so is the 20, and then the 50 is a bit narrower next to a dodgy tree. So.
Oh, balls! I'm going to get nothing there. So why would you not open your parachute right away? Do you get extra points or something?
No, but if you're floating around too much, the helicopters can come and chop you up.
Got you. And of course, you can move it left and right. Yeah. I'm going to get to the 20. Balls!
So yeah, this is another place where the helicopters are all drawn as characters. And then the same with the aeroplane. And then your guy is a sprite, hardware sprite.
Right.
And then I've made up the color overlays because I didn't know what they were, so I just try to put a little bit of color into the game. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting.
Get out of the road! Oh, you sod!
Trying to sneak up on a helicopter.
Tell you what, just when I see these helicopters, Time Pilot, that would be an excellent one to convert. Time Pilot's a fantastic game.
There is a quite a good Time Pilot on the BBC Micro.
Oh, is there really?
The same guy, and I think the same engine as Sinistar.
Right, okay.
Otherwise, yes, that would have been one I would have given a go.
Oh, did I get that? I'm not sure if I did. I like the wee animation as he's kind of plummeting to earth before he opens up the parachute. Oh, get in.
Yeah, again, we've... Oh!
There's
a helicopter left. There's a bit of a helicopter left on the side. Not me, honest girl. Yeah, Gadget UK 164. He was doing a video on the BBC speech chip. And I sent him some code I'd done for playing back the original Star Wars arcade game speech.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it uses the same speech chip. And he did a very nice video on putting the speech chip in the BBC, and also decoded The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
The sound files for them to play. I've not seen your disc available there, Gadget. But yeah, I like the video. I quite regularly send people off to watch it.
Yeah, Chris very, very kindly restored my Amiga CD32. It's basically dead, and he just absolutely overhauled it, and it's working a treat. I mean, he's apart from having awesome coding skills, or not coding skills, electronic soldering skills, Chris. I'm amazed at how well you actually video them. You know, it's bad enough doing what you do, but the fact that you've got the camera just perfect, that takes a lot of skill as well.
Yeah, He's also in the Return of the Jedi samples. There's well, I'm not sure what you might call an Easter egg now, but there's a sample that I'm pretty sure is not in any Star Wars film. And if you've seen that video,
I haven't actually. No, I'll need to watch that.
Yeah, I'll have to dig out the thing. But yeah, it's the one with the TNS 220 into the BBC.
This is actually quite good fun. I'm absolutely pants at it.
I think, like he says, that I vaguely remember a picture of it now, and there is like a big handle that you would yank to pull the ripcord on your parachute.
Oh, was there? Ah, right. One of the, yeah. When was this? This must be about probably 1979, 1980, something like that, would it be?
It's got to be earlier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's black and white. 6502 puts it late 70s at the earliest.
I forgot to splash. Doing my James Bond there. I was trying to wait till the last minute.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of small. Oh dear.
Ah, dearie me. What the hell?
Yeah, you probably don't want to bail out just over a helicopter.
No.
But,
So was this one based on? Was this based on lives or was it time again?
it's jumps, this one. But yeah, basically.
You've got so many, right?
You get three lives, I think. Oh, slightly too fast left.
Fantastic, excellent. Right, that was, what was that one again, Richard? That was
Ripcord.
Ripcord. Right, now this next one I remember. Wow, this game brings back, just seeing this running brings back so many memories. I mean, this is one of my earliest memories of any video game. I mean, it was the shows used to come to our local town, and they had this and the Atari basketball one, and you had the four. Was it a 2-player or 4-player again? I can't remember.
This one was 1 player, I think.
There was a 2-player. I know that.
Yeah, I think Sprint 2 was 2, and I think Sprint 4. Yeah, it was 4-player, but the one that we had on the pier was had 3 steering wheels on it.
I mean, I think you had the I don't know why I'm doing that with my foot. You had the accelerator as well, didn't you? I think you did.
Yeah, and brake, I think. Yeah, that's definitely right. Accelerator and brake. You're going to really struggle to play this. I have converted it for the joystick, but basically you've got analog joystick for the direction you want to go in. Then you've got the numbers, I think, 1 to 4 for changing gear. One of the 5 buttons is accelerate. So maybe we can just look at it and go, "Oh, yes, that's pretty." Almost unplayable.
So this isn't joystick then at all? No.
This is joystick. Yes.
Oh, it is joystick. Let's give it a go. So.
Well, it's analog joystick.
Right. So it's going to be all over the place.
I think it's S to start. Well, 5 to insert a coin. 1 for 1 player, S to start. So maybe not 1 player, but maybe the S to start. Fire button's going to be accelerate.
Right, wait a minute, right.
Push it in the direction it goes.
Right, okay, got you. Oh, wait a minute.
and then I think, like I say, 1 to 4 for the gears.
Right, I'm trying to figure out how, right, so a minute. Right, I'll just go in and go around here. So is it? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's a bit like I was going to say a bit like Time Pilot. It kind of goes what way you point it in. So you need to change gears as well. Did you say first?
Yeah. I think it's 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Yeah. So I nearly finished the code to do like automatic gearbox, and just never got around to finishing it.
But that wouldn't be authentic though, because it was gears in the original, wasn't it? Oh, blimey.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I think with there's not 4 fire buttons on the BBC, which is also a problem. Well, I have done a little add-on for it that lets you have 4.
That's game over.
You're still going. You've got 7 seconds left.
Right, so it just kind of changes track mid race.
Yeah, in the dip switches you can set it to. I don't know. Either changes every so many seconds. I don't know what the other setting is for it. But yeah, it's without the steering wheel that you can spin to get around the corner and then stop it spinning when you go around and spin it the other way. It definitely doesn't It doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't look so cool playing it either.
I mean, I've not even managed to get out of second gear yet. Let's stick into third gear for a laugh. Whoa.
Yeah, you need to drop back as well to accelerate.
Right.
Yeah. The thing that surprised me about this game, because I think this is late 70s, is that it's actually 512 by 224 pixels.
Oh, so that was quite high resolution for its time, then, wasn't it?
Yeah. And this is all my other BBC games are in mode 1, which is basically 320 by 256, which I usually shrink to 256 by 256 to match the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
But this one runs in mode 0, and I kind of did it because somebody said on the startup forums, "Hey, he's getting the hang of it now."
I've just got and spoke too soon.
Yeah. Did anyone ever make a mode 0 game? So I thought I had to. So the grey cars are actually stippled because you only got 2 colours in mode 0, and we don't have grey anyway. So
get off. Right, I'll give that one more go, I think. So is it 5 to put a coin in, and then S to start? Right, here we go. Right, I'll stick it in the second gear. I think anything beyond second, and I'm going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean it is a lot more playable with the point in the direction you want to go. The trying to steer was terrible. Because I also have to convert what you want to do into so many ticks per second to spin the wheel that fast, because that's what the game's looking for.
Right. Oh, wait a minute, hang on. Wait a minute. See, now I'm kind of. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. And I wish I wouldn't keep changing. That's a bit annoying. What the hell? I'm just getting used to the track and it's changing.
I thought it was too easy with it. Keep it the same.
It obviously hates me. Look at the skills now. Look at that. Eat your heart out, Lewis Hamilton.
You're better than me, and I've spent quite a long time trying to.
It's just when you said it goes in the direction you point the joystick, and I'm like, right, yeah. I see, I'm going to hang it now. Look at that. Saying that I am only in second gear right enough, but.
And really flirting with the posts or whatever they are. Oh, and the oil got you.
Fantastic. Another absolute sterling conversion. Right, let me just have a look at the comments. Whoops, I'm good. Blaming, there's loads of comments there.
Sprint was one that I quite fancied doing back in the day. But I think there's probably too many graphics in there for the BBC. Or they have to be really small. You could do it on the Master.
Was the Master, was that a quicker machine? I mean, it had more memory, didn't it? Yeah.
No, it's got more memory, so it's 128K instead of 32. But it also allows you to flip screens, so you can basically have 2 copies of the screen and flip between them. Whereas everything I'm doing on here, I'm basically updating the graphics in the off-screen time. So once it's finished drawing to the bottom, then I'll start updating everything on screen. So when it comes back on the top, there's no flicker because everything's changed, ready to go. Which means you've got about 4 milliseconds to update everything you're going to update out of a 20 millisecond.
So will all these games, will they run on a bog standard like BBCB then?
All the ones on there except for Warlords, which was a special request to port Warlords. That's because the arcade ROM uses basically nearly all of the first 32K. So it will run on a B if it's got sideways RAM, which if you want to put it into a real machine is about £2.50, maybe £2 worth of electronics. It's just a single static RAM chip and a couple of wires.
Yeah.
And there was a survey on Stardot. Over half the people responded saying they have. Over half the people who responded said they have sideways RAM in their BBC Model Bs. So this one you'll want the analog mouse stick again.
Right, okay, I'll just stick the sound down again. Sound to, there we go, low, that's fine. And then we want to, was it options, analog mouse stick. Okay,
this was what I would do for a while because it was it Steve Jobs?
Sorry, Richard, what was that?
I was trying to remember who the programmers were. I think it was Steve Jobs, was it? Somebody can correct me. Who did this?
Is that right? Really? Yeah. I
think
didn't
it was.
Know that. I didn't know that.
Might even been both the Steves. Although when I looked, I think it was credited to somebody else. But yeah, this was one of those games that was in that nightclub that I was saying about earlier. And we had a real problem with this game. It happened nearly every Saturday night, which was it started giving free games. And the reason it gave free games when you banged it was because the coin box had filled up and the micro switch was resting on the top of the coins. And if you gave it a little nudge, the coin activated the switch and you get a free game. So, a bit like the original story of Pong stopped working because the cash box was full. This was giving free games because the cash box was full. So at the beginning, you can move the paddle left and right to choose which of the 3 games you want to play. So you have the 2 bats like this, or you can have the ones with 2 extra balls trapped at the top.
So what was the idea of the 2 bats? Basically, so can you give you double chance? Is that really how it was?
I think so, yeah. Because the original was Breakout, which was TCL logic chips, no processor in there. And then the thing was to make the game out of less chips. So by putting a microprocessor on there, they could actually save the number of chips and make it cheaper.
Balls.
That's some kind of paraphrasing the story, really. So yeah, it's actually got 3 games you can choose from, whether you want the blocks to come down at you, which I think is progressive, or whether you have the 2 bats and the 2 balls.
Right. Do you get the option when you start the game, do you? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, if you move the paddle left and right, it goes through the 3 options.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, let me come out with that. I'll just die. Let's
press escape to come out of my games if you... Well, I mean, yeah, or you can die.
Right. So did you say, is it fire button just to pick a new game?
Yeah, or put all 5, probably, to put money in, and then you can scroll left and right with the...
Right. All right, pick mode, so you got that one,
yeah.
And you got that one. Right, got you.
And the 3rd one as well, if you go further over. That one where they come down at you.
Go for that one. That's a bit more interesting, I think.
So 1 bat, 1 ball. I think you get 3 balls anyway. But yeah, after so many seconds, they'll come down at you. And again, this is another one of those black and white games with coloured cellophane stuck on the screen. So I've simulated that with the palette.
Kind of got a flavour of sort of Space Invaders about it. You've got to try and stop the bricks invading, eh?
Yeah, I guess, I think...
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, this one, I can't remember if this is before or after Space Invaders. Yeah, the original Breakout didn't come down or anything.
It's getting tricky. It's funny, when you play games like this, you realise how sort of simplistic they were. I mean, I had one of these, the Binatone, the bright orange, and even as a sort of a 10-year-old, I got bored pretty quick because they are pretty limited. But
yeah, I didn't have that one. I had, I think it was a Binatone, I'm not sure. I had a black one with paddles with knobs on, and then a white one with the controllers actually had sliders, like a fader on a...
I remember that. Yeah.
So my brother wasn't interested, my dad wasn't interested, my sister wasn't interested, nobody was interested in any kind of computers or games at home. So I used to play that myself, 1 slider in each hand. Or the black one, 1 paddle in each hand.
There was no such thing as artificial intelligence back then.
Wasn't much, was there, in those games?
Right, listen, let's move on. I mean, it's an absolutely stonking conversion of quite a lackluster arcade game, to be fair, but, it's a cracking version. Right, I think we're getting into the more juicy ones now.
I don't know, Gamer Steve, if there's a rip-off or not. If you go on to bbcmicro.co.uk, in the search, it will search for games like, you could just put it in, and the BBC game will also have the arcade game's name. So if you look for Defender, it'll show you Planetoid.
That's got a speech as well. Wow.
So yeah, I don't think this version of BPEN simulates the speech chip.
No, there was speech at the start, although it was a bit kind of flaky. There was some speech.
It plays sample speech at the beginning.
Ah, I've got you. Right.
Again, Gadget's video that we were talking about has a section where it has this game with the speech playing in it. So this was the one I was saying that I had to learn about the vertical scrolling. Because in this game... Sorry,
I'll take put the joystick there.
Oh, yes.
I was wondering why it wasn't moving.
Because your mouse is over there. So this game, actually, the aliens never move out of their original character squares, but the entire screen moves. So they move kind of 3 pixels over, and then they move back to the left-hand side again, and the whole screen moves 1 character over. So it makes them look like they're moving all over the place, which means actually the player's ship that looks like it's sitting still is moving in the opposite direction so that it appears to stay still.
I mean, I've played this a fair bit in the past, and I mean, this is...
Then you use second fire button for warp.
Okay.
10 seconds. Oh, you've overheated your lasers.
Wow.
Don't know how this is coming across on YouTube. It's quite jerky, this one.
It's silky smooth here anyway, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, they should all be 50 frames a second. I was going to say flicker free, but actually there's one coming up that has a bit of flicker. Jobs and Wozniak did the PCB for the original Breakout, not sure about Super Breakout. Oh, I was close.
Damn it.
Shadow modes. The shadow modes on the Master. 96k is in the sideways RAM. Then 20k is mirroring screen memory, and then the other 12k 8k I think appears as sideways RAM, and 4 over part of the operating system. I don't do much on it, so
Quite impressive graphics in this game, actually.
ripped out of MAME. And then I ran out of memory many times doing this game, so I had to steal a few frames of animation out of some of them.
No.
Do that as well. You put warp, you go extra slow, and then there's a bullet there, and you just run straight into it.
Right, try it now.
Yeah, the free games with the saves out of the electric lighter. I think what's her name? Oh God, I hate my memory.
Was it the clicker thing you getting credits and but using the lighter? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about you.
The woman who wrote BBC Basic, one of her or Acorn before it was actually Acorn. One of the things they did was design a circuit to shut down the fruit machines. I think it was if they sensed that sort of thing going on, because they couldn't make them immune to it, but they could shut it down so that you lost any credits that were on it anyway and didn't get any from the clicker. So that was one of the things. Sophie Wilson. That was one of the things that kept them going until they got into computers with the Atom, the Acorn Atom. Sorry, the system computers first, and then the Atom. Yeah, Cosmic Gorilla. I like Cosmic Gorilla. There's about 3 different ports on the BBC. Don't think any of them were licensed because they've all got different names. Yeah, a bit of turn in the grandstand. Well, thank you, you oldie gamer Steve. I put a lot of effort into Asteroids, like I say, putting the sound in. It does require a speech chip and one bank of sideways RAM to play the speech, but it does add so much to it. And you'll notice on this bit, normally you'd have Asteroids here with the odd fireball, but but because I didn't have enough memory left to do the docking sequence, you've overheated again.
Oh, who's that? Ah, right, okay, I'm just hammering the
every time you fire.
fire button too much.
Yes, in the arcade game, you get through the asteroids and then you dock with the ship to refuel. But there are some fireballs mixed in with the asteroids, and if you shoot them, you get extra fuel. So I just turned them all into fireballs and skipped the docking, which I think actually gives an extra element, because then you have to choose between how much fuel you're going to collect and how hot you're going to make your laser. That's my excuse.
Richard, before we forget, could you? I'm assuming that all your kind of games are kind of free to download, are they?
Yes, they're all free to download. Most of them are on the bbcmicro.co.uk site.
You want to pop a link, if that's all right? Pop a wee URL. That would be, that'd be really handy. I'm sure people would love to have a go at these.
I haven't found where I can post into the chat, but
there should be a wee bit at the very bottom. I mean, I've got the option to post a comment. See at the very bottom of the chat. Maybe that's just me.
I think that might be just you.
Is it? Ah, right, okay. Anyway, listen, there's loads of other good games I want. I'm just conscious of time. Time just runs away like nothing on earth. That is excellent. Right, I'll even scratch the surface. Right, Carnival.
Yeah, so I'd say this was the first one that got me back into really programming for the Bee. And I haven't got it on tonight, but I've got some T-shirts with that image of the duck with the extra feet at the bottom on the back that my partner did for me, because we were going to a show and she wanted everyone to know that I'd done the game, so she did me the T-shirts, put a yellow duck on the back of a black T-shirt for me.
So what is the idea of this game? I mean, is it to try and basically maximise taking out all these things?
Yes. The longer you take, the more the game speeds up, and the more yellow ducks appear. So the other things, most of the targets will go back across, and then go back to the top. The little 10 in the box is extra bullets. That goes across and back. It doesn't come on the bottom row. That box you just shot there cost you 5 bullets. When you run out of bullets, it's game over. So that's plus bullets, but the amount that you get plus goes down. That's plus score. So
it's all about the timing then, isn't it?
Yeah, and you also need to shoot all those pipes spinning around at the top.
Ah, right.
And I say the longer you take, the more ducks will appear. So also, every time you shoot a bullet that doesn't hit a pipe, your pipe bonus goes down, so yours is 0 now. Shooting ducks on the top row gives you 50, or shooting anything on the top row is 50, middle 30, bottom 10, so you want to try and shoot them at the top. So you want to shoot all the pipes without hitting a target, except for any ducks, because if they get to the third row, then there's a chance they'll dive down and eat 10 of your bullets, so that's a bad thing.
Okay.
There's a fair bit going on.
Yeah, I remember the first time I played this game, I really didn't understand. I was kind of playing it like Space Invaders, and I really didn't understand what I was doing. But it's all about trying to obviously take out as many of the targets using as few sort of points as possible, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you just lost 500 points there, which is a third of your score. Also, I don't know if they made the tune deliberately annoying or not, or if they just wanted to make it sound like a carnival. But on the right-hand side, you'll notice there's a musical note in a white box. If you shoot that,
hey!
But it cost you a bullet to do it. Which is...
Never seen that before.
It's sped up quite a bit now. So, yeah, I think this was the first or only arcade game that has an option to turn the sound off, the music off.
I think I've never seen that before. Usually, yeah.
it also, up on the top left-hand side there, somebody was saying, can't I just type my name on the keyboard? And I was like, well, I never thought of that. I was just doing the arcade version that didn't have that option. So,
keep it authentic. Let's go for another shot of this, actually.
But it also shows you the top left rank. It tells you how far up the high score table you are. which I think is the first game that does that as well. And this is, I think, about 1980 game.
Now, one of the guys that watches my channel, Charlie Farr, he's the world record holder at Galaxian, and he just has insane scores at all arcade games. And he was playing this in a live stream. I don't know what kind of squeeze, playing it for hours and hours and hours, and on a single credit.
Oh wow! I didn't know anybody actually played it. Unless I did this one purely for myself. And then there was a period of a couple of weeks where everybody who played it told me the tune was completely wrong. And wrong notes,
really?
Wrong order, wrong length, wrong pitch, wrong everything, and I couldn't hear it. So like I do with all my games, I ended up doing a video of me playing it in the emulator and a video of me playing it in MAME, and then I compare the audio in Audacity so I can see the waves next to each other. And then I can see that on one, the waves are going quickly up and down, on the other, they're going slowly up and down. So I can see it's the wrong frequency, and that's how I tune it. I keep changing the numbers till the squiggles match.
Well, I can see, from an authentic point of view, this looks absolutely arcade perfect. Does this use the ROMs, Richard?
No. You're onto the Astro Blaster, and this are written from scratch.
Wow.
So they do mostly use the... Oh, you haven't even got onto the bonus stage. You need to get that last paddle and the duck so you can see the bears. Let's go over a fraction to get the thing. Okay, well, it's got a bonus stage after this where there's a bear that walks on, and each time you shoot it, it changes direction and gets faster and faster. So you have to kind of time moving and shooting and moving and shooting, which you would have seen it on Charlie Farr's stream. So yeah, I think you're in trouble now.
I think so. It was all going really well until a few seconds ago.
Yeah. So the ducks and the bonuses and everything are in the game. I don't think it ever gives you quite this many ducks this quickly. But I figured if you got this far, it's really to stop you point scamming, you run out of bullets. So
no, that's an absolute awesome conversion. That is amazing.
Well, if you ever get bored, have a look at the Acorn Soft Carousel, because it's not the same game at all. And it really annoyed me back in the day.
And that's what prompted you, thanks to that game, that's what prompted you to kind of go and write all these other ones. Right. Right, let's...
No, sorry, David, no Patreon, only do it for free. I'm happy for anyone to take my stuff and do what they like with it, but not sell it.
Wow. This must use the arcade code, surely?
Nope. No, you've done all the ports. These are all from scratch.
These are all from scratch. Wow. That is insane.
If you've got BBC trackball, which are extremely rare, one of these. Oops.
All right, wow.
Which are a bit like the Atari ones. This game will support it. it's probably the only game. Oh no, there's a Missile Command as well.
Have you done Missile Command? Is that a game you've ever fancied having a crack at?
It's one I fancy doing as a port, but again, there's a reasonable version on the BBC. So it's at the moment I guess coming to the end of them, but I wanted to concentrate on the ones that we didn't have the good version on the BBC. That might be because there's no competition then, or it might be because I wanted to show that the BBC could have been a very good games platform.
Well, this is just showing exactly. This is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal port. There's only one little thing that I've noticed, and is that in the original, the spider in this one, sometimes just disappears off the screen, off the bottom of the screen. I don't remember that happening.
It does been missed.
Does it do that in arcade? Does it really? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice it myself until after I put the spider in and nearly finished, and then I was playing it and it did it. I was like, hang on. What's that about? Nearly.
That infernal flea. Oh, bugger off.
Well, the flea comes on if you have less than 5 mushrooms in the bottom section of the screen.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
So if you leave some there, he won't come on. But then obviously they get in the way a bit. It's really tempting to clear them out anyway. So.
Yeah. Even the sound effects you've nailed as well, just fantastic.
I've written so many different audio converters to try and get the sound right, because however bad they are, they'll do a better job than me.
Well, I think you've nailed it. That is awesome.
It'll change colours when you get on to the next level as well.
I'm going to give that another wee go. Wow, how are we doing for time? I've got 35 minutes.
Yeah.
We will, of course, have to finish with China Miner, Richard. You know that is the law, of course. I would be absolutely flogged if I didn't. So the last 15 minutes is always reserved for China Miner.
Okay. I'll definitely run out of time again. Thanks, guys. That's really nice to say. No Marble Madness. There is a Marble Madness on the BBC as well. I haven't done one. I was going to, and then I realised that there is one. We do have Ian Cullen, we do have a massive advantage over programmers back in the day. We have the internet and all of the accumulated knowledge since then. Back in the day, you sat down with the advanced user guide and you post different bits of hardware and to see what happened. And then if you didn't spot something happening, or it took a combination of things, you probably never found out about it. There were some things that I came across back in the day that, as far as I know, only probably 2 or 3 people did. But nowadays, even if only one person knows something, it doesn't take long for everyone to know. That and when you're trying to debug with an emulator, you can add any hardware debugging feature you like. So it's like, when I'm playing this bit of graphics keeps getting corrupt. Why is that? Well, I'll make the emulator stop as soon as that graphics changes. Then I'll see which bit of code's doing it, and then I can trace back why it got there, and wind time back to see what made that happen. Which you just can't. We couldn't do that back in the day. Back in the day, I was spend 10 minutes saving to tape, run it crashes 10 seconds later, and you have to spend 10 minutes loading it back from tape again. And you realise that it was a bad save, and you have to go back to the previous version if you still got it.
Again, I mean, this is flawless. Absolutely flawless.
This one actually started out as a tech demo I was going to do, which I don't do because I always used to complain about demo coders saying, look, they're so good, why don't they do some games instead of doing all these tech demos? But I wanted to show how much could be drawn on the BBC Micro at 50 frames a second, flicker 3. And the best way to do that is to have things move horizontally on a solid background colour in multiple groups of the same thing. So like the turtles, you draw 2 turtles. Well, the way you do that is you read the graphics for a turtle, and you write the graphics for a turtle, read the graphics for a turtle, you write the graphics for the turtle. But if they all move in sync, then you can read the graphics once, and you can write it 3 times for 3 copies of the turtle, so you actually get to draw 3 for the cost of 2.
See, when you're writing one of these ports in, Richard, I mean, presumably do you use like MAME as a reference for timing and sound effects, and because this, this looks exactly like the arcade one, the feel, the graphics, the sound, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the sound on this one's actually not the arcade tunes. I actually found somebody who'd done, I think it was a version for a different sound chip. It's credited on the load screen, I think, something 2000 his name was. And I contacted him and said, would you mind if I used your music in my game? And he said, yeah, sure. So I did, and I credited him on the thing. But yes, sprites are out of MAME is a great resource like that. Usually I'll end up taking a video of the game and advancing it 1 frame at a time to see how fast things move, or which frames of animation are, how long you do something.
And as far as like colours go in these games, bollocks. Presumably the BBC supports the colours that these games would use back then, eh?
Well, the log should be brown, but we don't have brown. We have yellow and we have purple, magenta. So like the grass in the middle should be purple, but we have magenta, and the grass at the bottom should be green, or was it purple at the bottom and green in the middle? I don't remember. So yeah, kind of have to go near as you can. If you've got, I was saying earlier about the video Nuala, the palette extender, which were available from the BBC from early 1982. This will play in arcade colours, so it's
right, okay, yeah.
And bearing in mind that this is supposed to be a 4-colour screen, so you can actually change that as you go down the screen. You can swap which colours you've got. The arcade, I think, is about 12 colours or 14 in total, so it will play with the arcade colours. But yeah, there's a few little things that had to change. Like in the arcade, the first thing it does is it adds more cars to make it harder to get across the road, and then on the next set of levels it takes some logs away to make it easier to get harder to get across the river. Well, it's actually rendering for, I think, 19.5 milliseconds out of the 20 for a frame, so it's spending the entire frame racing the beam, so the beam's going down and it's trying to draw so you never get the flicker. When the fog's in the air, because it's longer, it actually takes slightly over the 20 milliseconds. But fortunately, when he lands, then you after about half a second or so, it's caught back up again.
But again, absolutely.
I have to take the log away first and then have the cars.
Another stonking conversion, though. That is amazing. Right, unfinished. This one says Moon Patrol.
Yes, so and it doesn't look like this version of BBEM is going to cope with that.
Right.
Yeah, so I also play some tricks with the hardware to get certain effects.
You can still play it a wee bit.
Yeah, and BBEM is not displaying that correctly. It does not.
Right, we'll leave that one. It wouldn't be fair to show that one. Hopefully in another video we can look at that one. Is that being finished, or are you going to go back to it, or is that one that you're like, nah?
It's got to the point where you've got the aliens at the top, but they don't move in formation. They just go straight across and come back on again. Okay, so this is the most recent one I finished, Pac-Man.
Now, I'll be honest, I looked at this just before, literally 5 minutes before we came on the stream, and this is just incredible. That does not look too much unlike the arcade version.
So Centipede and Frogger, these are all my versions of games written from scratch. The graphics are often stolen from MAME. Just answering down the rabbit hole there. Yeah, couldn't do brown, couldn't do grey, no. But I know a platform that can. Yes, all my games except for Sprint are mode 1, so that's 4-colour, 320 by 256. Although, because I like the arcade, keep pixels squarish, they're generally 256 by 256 or thereabouts. Yeah, C64 had all the brown, there was none left for us. Actually, the BBC came out first, so we didn't. We only left the brown behind. These are written. These are all these games have been written over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, Holly's saying there she likes the cross-hatch to Ghosts. Is that to kind of get that other sort of different colour?
That's because it's a 4-colour mode, and I could do the thing that they did on the 2600 and have them flicker and change colour as they're level, as they're on the same horizontal position. But I did a mock-up screen because we've got Snapper on the BBC Micro, which is a very good version of
yeah, I've heard that. I've never actually seen it, but I believe it is quite a nice little version.
But I did a screen mock-up for what I thought it could look like in mode 1, and decided that actually it looked so good that I thought it just had to be made. So I did.
I like the way you've even gone the sort of extra yard, and you've copied the what do you call it, the font as well that they use, just for that extra authenticity. But that just helps to really make it.
Since the font on the Master's not accessible, I have to put a font in there, so I might as well put the right one in. Conversing graphics anyway as well.
Balls.
How good's the Ghost AI? The AI for the Ghost should match the arcade AI nearly perfectly, with the exception of not having the bug with the red Ghost. When it looks for you, it looks the direction you're pointing, but if you're pointing up, it looks diagonally up and left, I think, which I've since decided I don't think is a bug. I think it actually avoids a situation where you can sit in a place that means the Ghost can't get you. No. Yeah, Defender on the BBC Micro Planetoid is actually really good. So I wouldn't have done this one if I hadn't done the mock-up and thought that looks too good not to do. Not my skills, just the only choice you've got to get the extra colours is to do it. So that's what I did.
Again, sublime. That's just awesome. How are we doing for time? 25 too. We've still got another few to get. I want to feature them all.
If you cleared that, you'd have got the intermission.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Can we?
It's very spectacular. I mean, great. You can do it. Last life, you can do it.
Right, I'll just do the easy thing and just use the power pills to
get the nuts. Yeah. It's not much of an intermission, but I really wanted to put it in. So.
Hey, excellent.
I couldn't afford the big backhand, so we had to make do with the little one.
Right, Rally X.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. We'll win it a bit better later now. So this is the one I'm working on at the moment. It's not finished. It's just really showing what it could be.
Oh, this isn't playable at the moment, then, Ian? No.
It is playable.
Richard, sorry, I'm calling you Ian. Right, yeah.
Fire button to enable the joystick.
All right.
And you can drive around and collect the flags. You can't crash into the rocks, so evidently I must have sent you the wrong version then. Okay. Well,
I think. Hang on. I think there is a couple. Hang on. I think there is another one. Rally X and then Rally X Work in Progress.
Oh yeah, Work in Progress should be the newer one, I think. And no end of fire. Yeah. So,
so the cars can't kill you at the moment, then?
They can't kill you.
Right.
You. And obviously, Rally X, you should be zoomed in, so you can only see 8x8 tiles or 9x9 or something. So I did do a version like that, but it requires a trick that only works on a CRT, or basically works on every combination except for an LCD TV.
Really? Is that why you had to go for the kind of zoomed out?
Yeah.
Zoomed out mode then, yeah.
Yeah. And I quite like having the zoomed out look. Although it does make them look more like, I don't know, some kind of ants running around a maze rather than cars.
So how can you far percentage wise would you say?
So that's all it is. It just rinse and repeat from there. It's probably a good weekend away from being finished. You need to die when you hit the rocks. The cars, they need to either die when they hit each other or try and avoid you. Needs to smoke.
Of course, yeah.
Challenge stage, which is basically the same but without the cars moving. So it's there's not a lot more to do. There's a bug on the display there that I've never seen in all the time I've been playing this, and I've played a few hours of it.
I suppose this is quite unique, having you watching somebody else actually playing the game
Yeah, it does.
Live, yeah.
It does usually find bugs that nothing else has found, but I'm also a bit wary of BBEM now. It failed to show Moon Patrol properly, so because this is I don't know how old this version is actually, but yeah.
Well, can I see I'm absolutely excelling at this game. I've not lost a life yet.
Oh yes, I need to add losing lives.
Yeah, I get it tight on these streams for my lackey gaming skills. The thing is, I play games I've never played before. I'll need to do a stream one time and actually play games that I can play. And yeah, before somebody else says it, yeah, it will be an extremely short stream. But anyway,
Ian already said that it must be easier than the arcade version since you're doing so well.
I don't know why I bother coming back every Sunday, Richard. I really don't. But anyway, I don't know. They kill me. They really do. Anyway, listen, I could quite literally play that one forever.
So I started to say you can get most of them from bbcmicro.co.uk, or there's a thread on Stardot. Because I also do a menu system where you can pick all these off a menu along with the other thousands of BBC games. If you have a GoTech or memory card device on BBC, or indeed in the emulator. So I'll put a link in the YouTube stream afterwards if we haven't found a better way of doing it first, to where you can download those from. Or actually, the links that I sent to you, you could put those in the chat if you have access to the chat.
If you're happy enough for me to do that, that's what I'll do.
It's my Dropbox, but because I'd rather not put the links to arcade ROMs on Stardot.
Yes. No, I understand that.
YouTube channel, but if it's my Dropbox, then that's.
If you're happy enough for me to share that, I'll do that. Definitely. Right, I'm looking forward to this one.
So this is the one I was saying earlier on. My games being flicker free. This one flicker free, because it's technically I got to the end and then I went, damn, I completely forgot about this aspect of things, and I have to rewrite all of the sprite drawing routines for the entire game to get rid of the flicker. It can be done. It's just that I haven't bothered. And the actual you'll see the flicker on these bits. This is not using the arcade ROMs, but the arcade game flickers quite a bit. So I figure it's my kind of justifications. If I flicker less than the arcade, then I'm doing okay.
You've really nailed the mechanics of this. The fact that you can fire a lot quicker on this level as well. It really does feel like the arcade.
I didn't include the bug where the bombs go through the shield in the arcade.
Oh, right, I've never really
My
noticed
shield's impervious, although it doesn't. It has got a small delay. And also,
whoa! I think they're slightly heavy on the bullets here, but anyway.
The shield's on the second fire button.
Ah, right, smashing.
Yes, they are a bit heavy on the bullets, and you can't shoot their wings off.
Ah, right.
Which is basically because I'm out of memory. And, yeah. I don't know how they always seem to avoid you when they do that, but the amount of times they go, big swarm of them fly past and don't die. It's... I know Vic from 10 Pence Arcade complains that they don't hang around at the sides long enough. Not sure if that's just because he's not.
Hey!
Yeah, now just do it one more time. Then you can see the end of level boss. Whoa.
Maybe. Oof.
Apparently not. So, yeah, I do put all my games up on Stardot as I work through them if people do want to try them out before they're finished. Or basically, they're finished when people stop complaining about them. So. The other thing that I restart the entire wave if you die on it. I don't just keep the ones.
Yeah, I noticed that, yep.
So that was basically because I forgot that and then I couldn't be bothered to go back and change it, which is... Oh.
Come on, that...
Nearly got it.
Hey!
Yeah, you're going to find this hard. Very hard, that bit.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I think this has pretty much all the features.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, really does.
You know, seen that.
It'd been interesting to kind of have this playing side by side with the arcade one, but you know, I mean, I've played this game often enough to know that this is a damned fine conversion. It really is.
This was the last one I wrote by writing it how I remembered it and then trying to fix it before I decided it would be a better idea to play it first.
But that was pretty much just written from memory then of playing the game, yeah.
Yeah, hence the restarting.
Damn it!
Again,
I doesn't like that one, eh? That's a shame.
Yeah, it's you want the other emulator for that, or the newer version of BBEM. They all.
That's a shame. I'll not play that one. That's a pity.
It's the horizontal scrolling on the BBC is very well. There is no hard way to do it. 1 pixel at a time, or even 2, like I say about the CRT thing. So that has to redraw everything every frame. It doesn't slow down the game, avoiding flicker. But you do have to find everything that moves in the time that's available. So like Pac-Man, because the ghosts and Pac-Man can be anywhere on screen, I draw them all from the bottom, while beams go from the bottom of the screen back to the top. But the original arcade one tries to work out where the beam is, and not draw Pac-Man when the beam might go through it. So, favourite BBC game from back in the day? Probably Chucky Egg. I don't think that should be too controversial. Planetoid was good. But
You couldn't have an arcade perfect and not have that little upside down Y. That would just be completely wrong.
Although in the arcade it's the Y that judders, not the Space Invader. But
right.
You might need to turn the sound up a little on this one, but see how it goes. So yeah, I wrote this, started writing this for a basic programming competition on the webpage, and then I got halfway through it and decided that actually basic was too hard for me now, and because I was trying to write it like I would assembler, put these bytes there, and it was just getting in the way. So yeah, there were so many complaints about the sound on this one that in the end I actually play samples for you shooting and the alien exploding.
I was just going to say, it sounds like again you've nailed the sound in this.
Yeah, well, I had to resort to playing samples, which on any other game you wouldn't be able to do because there just isn't time to do it. The cycles aren't there. But in Space Invaders, the most you have moving on any frame is the ship at the top, you, and one Space Invader plus the bombs. And the speeding up of the Space Invaders is just because you draw one each frame, so the less there are, the more frequently you get back to move the same one. So, yeah, I think actually the original programmer said that was a happy coincidence that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very proud of Scramble because of the software scrolling, and it's got the whole game. Apart from I can't remember who did Scramble. It may have been Taito.
I'm trying to think. Was it not Konami? It was Konami, I think. Was it?
Yeah, 6 characters. Yeah, because on the end you've got a building with Konami sign on the top. But if you get that far in my game, you'll find that there's a tricky sign on top of the building instead of Konami. I was giving myself a little treat for
bollocks, bloody hell.
I mean, also all these games are probably a bit slower than the arcade because we've got 50 hertz machine and this is nearly all 60 hertz games. If it moves 1 pixel a frame, then I move it at 1 pixel a frame. So,
but I mean, if you had this back in the day, you'd have been, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you probably wouldn't know, but if history ever changed and suddenly BBC won the Playground Wars good and proper, you'll find that I discovered a time machine and gone back. I'm not sure why that would be the thing that I would choose to do if I had a time machine, but that would be go back and dump a whole pile of EEPROMs on the Acorn stuff. I don't think Exile needs Sideways RAM. I think if you have Sideways RAM, you get speech and some extra graphics. But I think it works on the bare boot. There is a pattern to getting 300 on the ship.
Has that got I can't remember, was it 14 and then 23 or something? I can't remember, it's something like that.
Other way around, I think 20 something and then 14, but no, this one is I think 12 and then 16s. Any programmers out there will know why.
Really? Is there a reason for it? Yeah.
Just binary numbers. It just takes the bottom 4 bits, and if they're all 0, then hey, you got 300. Or it takes the bottom 4 bits, shifts it across, and looks that up in a table for bonuses.
Why me there? The bullets have certainly increased.
Yeah. So 2 on the second level, 3 on the third. I'm not sure if that's arcade accurate or not, but I figured.
I think that's slightly more difficult, but again, an absolutely stonking version there, Richard. That's amazing.
They all same for it. They drop them with you underneath them as well. So, or if you're half a screen away from them, that's another bit of making the coding easier.
Super, and I think the very, very last one you've given me, Richard, is now I've got to say, although I've seen this game, I don't think I've ever played it at all. Warlords.
So this one, it'll be another. I'm guessing we have another BBEM issue. It'll be an analog mouse stick, and then it'll be fire button to start.
That's a shame. I did play this earlier on last night, actually, or was it Friday? I think it was. I did actually play this.
This one doesn't do anything fancy, so I'm not sure why that.
Yeah.
Certainly, it works on the B, the B Plus, the Master, and the Compact, and
yep.
all the emulators that I've tried.
Oh, this is one that requires a 128. I think you said, eh?
They require sideways RAM. So yeah, maybe it's. I mean, you can put it in Master mode, BBC model.
Yeah.
Plus or Master. And
give that a go. Try that on disc.
So this is another one that's running the arcade ROM. This was a special request.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, there we go, using Bank 7. I didn't remember seeing that before. And there we go, yeah. So you want the analog mouse stick again because it's a paddle game. What was it? Options. And then fire button to basically insert a coin and select that player. And then fire button again to join the game. And you can press it a few times to make the time go down more quickly.
Ah, right, got you. Right.
This is going to be a little bit tricky on the mouse, but you're the shield in the bottom left.
Right, I don't know, I'm pointing. Yeah, I'm at the bottom left. So what am I actually doing here? Do I fire or something, or what am I?
You can use the fire button to grab the fireball, and then you move your stick, move the shield, and it will fire in a direction from the corner of the screen through your shield. But while you're holding the fireball, it will be burning a hole in your own castle. So what you're trying to do is knock down the walls on all the enemy castles.
So it's kind of like a breakout of sorts.
Yes.
Yeah, you're trying
to play a breakout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically left and right moves out like so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I made a little hardware adapter I was saying before to support 4 fire buttons because you can have 4 paddles anywhere on BBC. So there's been a few shows where there's been a few of us that have been playing on this for quite a while. 4-player Warlords, So you can see the odd little bit of fire shooting back towards your thing. Eventually, that will knock a hole in your wall.
Ah, right. So you basically can't afford to hold on to the fireball for too long. Yeah. Was this an Atari game again? I'm trying to remember.
Almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, because they weren't the only ones, but them and XD certainly did most of the. Were the ones that used 6502s the most. So. Don't think you can get off level 1 on this one.
I don't think so. Fantastic. Listen, Ian, I think that is. We've gone through all your games. Awesome. Like I said, what I will do is I'm going to put a link to all Richard's games after this stream goes live. Are you going to stick with us and watch me fail miserably at China Minor? You can.
I've got one little plug to do, if that's okay.
Of course you can.
They are going to make these available as physical games. Retro software, I think. I'm not getting any money from that. It's just supporting the Acorn community. Don't think they're available yet. But I know we have some people who like their physical copies. So,
superb. What to do, right? Oh, I'll just wait for Richard to come back. Right, I'm going to get China Minor loaded up. And I have got a... Oh, wow. How awesome is that? Superb. So are they available to buy yet then, Richard? Can you?
They are not available yet.
Right. What to do is just message me once they are, and I'll pop it. I'll mention it in a Friday Waffle, and I'll also put it on my Mamemeister Facebook page as well, because I'm quite sure there's going to be a lot of people that will want them. They're lovely. Awesome. Right, just to finish it off.
Yeah, China Minor.
And Holly has sent me the latest version. And she tells me there's a little Easter egg in this one, so I'll wait with bated breath. Like, let me just get this thing loaded.
Well, thanks for putting up with me.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, as always.
I think it's the first time I've managed to catch the beginning of the stream as well.
Not playing on. I better take it off warp. There we go. Right, hang on. I'm just going to reduce the volume a wee bit. There we go. Right, here we go. 2 games. Let's see how we get on. Arse. Oh, nice. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the game, actually.
Not that I was trying to distract you or anything.
Bonus point for spotting a little Easter egg. No. Woof. Oh, bollocks. Oops. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, it's not a Vic stick, but he did do the overlay for me.
Have you ever tried this game, Richard? Out of curiosity.
No, I hadn't seen it
No.
till I saw it on your stream.
I used to always reckon it was impossible to get off the first level, and trust me, it's taken me about 3 years to get to level 8. So.
I don't know. I like pixel perfect jump games, but I could never get on with Manic Miner.
Really? Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Manic Miner. I think it's a lovely game.
The big port's not as good as it could be.
I'm trying to think if I've ever even seen the BBC version. I don't think so.
But this one looks a lot more varied than the...
Whoa. Oof. Now, I don't know, Holly, have you sped this up a wee bit? It feels slightly quicker. Oh, arse.
I take it this is C64?
It is indeed, yeah.
Going by the palette and what looks like sprites.
I've actually been trying to get in touch with the guy that wrote this without any success, and then about 3 weeks ago, a person with the same name came into the live stream, and we thought, nah, that can't be him. So I said to him, look, if it is you, get in touch. And he's been in touch. I think it is the real guy, which is mental because he worked for a company called Interceptor Software, and I think he's completely disappeared from the scene. So for him to sort of randomly, he said that somebody had mentioned that I played balls. Somebody had mentioned that there's this guy on YouTube plays your game every Sunday. So he tuned in. So I've asked him if he fancies coming on for a blether. So fingers crossed. Balls. This is definitely quicker, Holly. Oh, you're saying it's not quick. Oh, damn it. Don't look at the comments. I'm going to die and try again. Don't look at the comments and try and play this game. It's never going to work out. I'll just die and then we'll have one last game.
Maybe it's because you got used to my slow games.
Alright, this time.
I had a C64 for a few months.
Oh yeah, was that back in the day, Richard, or was that more kind of up to?
Yeah, that was mid-80s, but I never really got on with it. I found there was a lot of games where just people were so lazy, one-color sprites and
Aye, yeah.
fat pixels. I kind of know why they did the fat pixel thing to get more colours on the sprites, but.
So have you programmed like games for any other systems at all apart from the BBC, or has it always been the platform that you like?
It's always been the one I like. I did a little bit on the C64, a little bit on the Atari ST.
All right, yeah.
And I've got a Vectrex cartridge waiting to do some Vectrex stuff. But
I've been interested in that.
And actually, you were saying about the programming. One of the first programming things I did was one of our school teachers on the Sharp MZ80K was making a game and he wanted some help.
Oh, boss.
So I helped him with the keyboard routine and some of the graphics on it. And he paid me with a very large bottle of fortified wine. This is when I was 12. My math teacher. So, and then I found out a few weeks later that he was doing it for. So the school had a tent at the Fete on the seafront, summer Fete thing, and he had the game there, and you could pay 10p, and the high score at the end of the day won a prize. So I had to go in the morning, got a reasonable score up, and people tried to beat it. And they went back in the afternoon and had another go. So for 20 pence, I got myself another large bottle of fortified wine. So that was kind of my first, as long as you know, counting cash, that was my first paid programming. And yeah, probably wouldn't get that now, would you? If you did, then that school teacher wouldn't be around much longer.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
So, I was a little bit envious of the music on the C64. Because basically anything on any other platform gets quite tiring after a while. Or nearly anything.
Yeah, I mean, but, what they've been able to do with the SID chip is just extraordinary. I mean, it really is. And even now, there's a really massive, amount of, hobbyist stuff that goes on with the SID chip even now. It's amazing.
You can see that from how many platforms have got add-ons that let you run a SID chip on them.
Yeah.
Like the fact they'll have nothing that supports it, at least till somebody gets around to doing it. There's a couple of different SID options for the BBC as well.
Nah, balls.
Including, I mean, maybe you don't. In the BBC community, we really like the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
So we have a Pi as a second processor because the BBC was always designed to have additional processors plugged in if you wanted. So you can run that as a 640 or Z80 or whatever, right up to running it as like a 1 gigahertz Pi, 1 gigahertz ARM core. Because I guess most of your listeners know that ARM Advanced RISC machines, before that was Acorn RISC machines, was Acorn, BBC Micro Acorn. So that all came, the ARM chip came from the people behind the BBC Micro and Acorn. So on the BBC Micro, you can plug one into the second processor board called the tube. You can also plug one into the RGB and have it converted to HDMI. And that's now the guy, not the guy originally did it, but there's a guy on the Acorn scene that's been extending that so it works on other 8, 16-bit machines. So you can have HDMI out of most of your 8-bit machines now, up to and including the Amiga with the Raspberry Pi. And the latest one is there's another expansion port on the BBC, the 1 megahertz bus. You can plug one in there and emulate the hard drives that we used to have back in the day on the BBC Micro, which some somebody might be familiar with from their classroom days with Econet, the networking. But you can also have that thing simulate a SID chip, or a couple of SID chips if you want SID chips in your BBC Micro, emulating the third Raspberry Pi that you've got plugged into it.
Can I ask you, Richard? I mean, obviously you're probably aware of the Spectrum Next, and then there's it's called the M65, which is like a sort of a new C64, which is meant to be coming out at some point. Do you think you will ever see like a new BBC? Is that something that's really got any worth or value, do you think?
There's people who really want it, but the community just isn't big enough. I mean, pretty much everyone, I'll say our age, meaning your age to mine, your age to my age, will know the BBC from school, but very few actually had one at home. So, I think people are more likely to want the newer version of the one they had at home than the one they used at school. Mm-hmm. So, I think it does have a big following, but nothing like it would need to do that. I mean, even Upton, running the from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, wanted to make the Pi 400, the computer version, have an option at least to have a BBC Micro keyboard on it, or even coloured. And even in their quantity, they couldn't really justify the expense of making a BBC coloured or, layout, but not even coloured keys for it because of the cost. So I don't think so. I'd quite like to see a keyboard with a Pi Zero in it that you could use as a BBC emulator or just as a keyboard. And that's very easy to do, but it's still going to cost you well over £100 for just a keyboard for a BBC. Mm-hmm. So I think a new version, no, but in some ways, who's going to write the software for it as well? I'll only write it if it runs on a B, so it wouldn't make much use of new features. But the fact that you can put a gigahertz second processor into it, and it was designed to be able to cope with whatever you put there right from the beginning, kind of gives you some expansion capabilities. You can run HDMI out of that second processor as well, which then it's not really a BBC anymore. But the guy who did the video, Nuala, has also done some emulators that you can run on BBC Micro, so you can emulate your Spectrum, CPC, there's French computer, I forget what it's called, and there's also like Game Boy emulators and various other things that will run on the BBC Micro. Most of it obviously is running on the Pi second processor, so it's kind of cheating in that respect, but it's no more than when you have a cartridge that you plug into your C64 with a processor on it, that you do more of the work there, or your cartridges you plug into a Vectrex, and it's basically running the main ROM, and you can play Asteroids in true vector mode, which is good. So, but yeah, I would like to see a keyboard. I think that's the kind of that's shooting quite high for what the community will support. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of people would like to see it. I'm not sure they'd actually want to pay for it, but if it's something that can sit on your desk anywhere and be useful as an ordinary keyboard, then I think that makes it more attractive.
I think certainly I think the user base from back in the day with the BBCs. I mean, the BBC was one of the kind of priciest home computers, wasn't it? And I think it was. I mean, they always say like, the Spectrum was what everybody had. The C64 was what the spoiled brats got. Although in my case, I had to buy it myself, and then the people who had BBCs lived in mansions. I mean, they were the people with the money, but.
We didn't have mansions.
Anyway, listen, Richard, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you very, very much for coming in tonight. Sorry for not really giving you a good example of how to play your games, but I think everybody that's watched this tonight would agree that what you're doing is just phenomenal. Please keep it going. Keep it up. If it wasn't for guys like yourself that continue to do amazing things with these systems, you keep us entertained. And personally, thank you very much for doing that. And again, thank you very much for joining me in the stream. What I will do is I'll put once these discs, these actual discs, real box games become available, let me know and I will share it. And finally, I will put a link to all Richard's games, all the games that we featured tonight. I'll put it in the comments section down below. And finally, guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I'll see you again next Sunday. As always, guys, take care. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.